I've been involved in this understanding of the mind for 10 years, waking up to a deeper sense of who I am. And I've been working with sports people and just generally people that have been having difficulties and trouble with their mind over the last 10 years. So I run the business, Denise Holland now. I've rebranded. It used to be Class Performance Excellence Within, but I've rebranded to Play Freely. A few years ago, I really woke up to that it's not all on us, that we actually have this capacity to play the game of life. And we can play way more freely. And in sport, there is a point which we all know where we go into this zone state, we go into this optimal functioning. And it's times in the game I remember where after the game, I didn't really remember it. It was like it was on automatic. It felt easy and effortless. And so I connected the dots and realized that that's playing freely. That's playing without anything on it. That's just seeing what's possible, being curious, being fascinated about what's possible through this body and mind. And so I realized that, I see, Denise, you don't have to get into the zone. If you leave your mind alone and all the content on it, you kind of fall into a zone state. It's there all the time. And I was like, wow, and I didn't know that. And so from that moment, I thought, well, Play Freely is just such an amazing brand, because we can all do that if we understand the nature of our experience and what's behind all of this incredible life that we have. It's something that I'm really exploring at the moment, because I'm just about to have my knee replacement surgery on Friday. I get to, and all the synchronicities have happened, and I get to write one of my last chapters of the book. And I thought, I will include this in the book, and it will be written in real time. What is it that I go through in this lead up? Where does my mind go in this lead up? The quality of the safety net that catches me every single time. Like I am scared. Of course I am. I don't think anybody loves to go through pain, but I know that my knee is going to be really good afterwards. And I just feel that there's this sense of being held, and when the transient nature of all of the content of my thinking, when that changes, I just fall into this really beautiful space of love and peace and joy. And it seems to be what there's always there. It's a constant. It seems to be the nature of life, the essence of life, my spiritual nature, because I always go there. Like I always fall there. I always dissolve out of all of this mental activity into there. And it's never not there. Pure presence. It's when I'm just in my being, my beingness. There is Sydney Banks, who gave us this understanding all those years ago, 50 something years ago. He talked about the isness. When I first heard that, I was like, we're just here. There's no proving. There's no approval. We don't have to be right. We don't have to be first. All of that stuff of the conceptual mind. We're just here. How amazing is that? How many human beings had to go before us, Deb, for you and I to be sitting here having this conversation? How incredible is that? 2 cells create human life, human consciousness. Every time we eat our food, I always think this is really interesting. Like, at what point does food turn to consciousness? Without food, we wouldn't be here, fueling our body. And that's one of the mysteries. That's part of the magic, isn't it, of this intelligence behind life, and what we are when we fall out of our personal mind And that's not to give the personal mind a bad rap, because it's beautiful. It's, you know, we're both human and divine. And that's what I mean about the game of life and playing freely. Yes, I'll get caught up, and then I'll be still. And for me, I just love it with this, going into this operation, knowing that the quality of my thinking is somehow creating a higher frequency, a higher vibration, an expanded level of energy that is helping to manifest a really beautiful outcome. And for me, just knowing the truth of that we are creative machines, we are a creative process. We think we're an entity, but behind that there's this creation, there's this creative process that's going on the whole time. And when we really look at that, wow, it's just, I'm just in awe of it. And when I go there with that, I don't know, it just saves me. Again and again, it saves me. That's the impact of my awakening to my spiritual nature, is that it gives me security. And it gives me the power, if you like, to create a reality which is really helpful. It's really helpful to me, and it's really helpful to what I can create in the world. So what difference does it make, Denise, if somebody is awake to the spiritual nature of life? And the way I describe it is that it's a bit like it's like a fork in the road. And on one side, you have an athlete, say, who has their goal, who wants to achieve something, and it says going to a particular championship. And they're not awake to their amazingness, this beautiful creative process that we're talking about here, Deb, this safety net. So they're trying to achieve, and they're going about their business. They're working hard, they're persevering, they're being determined, and they're striving, and they're putting in all of their hours, but it's from a place of, I'll be better when I get that medal. I'll be better when I get that improved time. And there is a certain lack that they're playing from, and they're coming from a space inside of them which in their mind isn't enough until they get that medal. And for me, that's been the biggest change, because when I realized, on the other side, you can still have the same championship, you can still have the same goals, you can still go for it, but you're playing from a place of security, and that you're already enough, and that you're already okay as human life. And when we do that, yes, we put in the hours, of course, we need the skills, but we are playing with curiosity and fascination, and we start to thrive instead of strive. We start to be open to what's possible. The title of our conference that's coming up, which we'll talk about in a minute, and we in the end, we bust through the targets. So we're not looking at reaching them, which is what reaching it over here. When we play from a place of full joy, full out, playing freely, explore alike, we tend to go beyond anything that we thought was possible for us. And it's an absolute game changer. And in sport, it's not being covered. It's being talk about the physical, the technical, the tactical. We talk about the mental in terms of cognitive conscious function, and all sorts of tools and techniques to change the way we think in order to be in our calm state. But that's not it. That's not the
No.
best we've got. We have
Mm.
this new paradigm which goes beyond our mental activity to access something within us as human life, which allows us to be the best that we can be from a place of security, not from a place of needing to prove ourselves or our personal wants.
I love that. I love that. And you've literally just totally nailed something there in that sharing. I think there was some really real gold in that. And I can remember watching my son's now just turned 26, when he was only young. He would have been about 3. He was quite young, and he wanted to learn to ride his bike. He'd been riding a bike with stabilizers, and he wanted his stabilizers off. And it was a day I was busy, and he came and he said, "Oh, Mom, will you take my stabilizers off?" And I was like, "No, I haven't got time, because like I haven't got time to hold the bike. I'm working. I can't, I'll do it at the weekend. We'll do it this." And he's like, "I want to do it today. I want to do it today." And I thought, do you know what? I'll take his stabilizers off and let him. He'll fall over a few times. He'll just forget it. He'll get over himself, and that'll be it. And then I'll help him another time. So I took them off, and then I watched him. And over the next few hours, he took that bike out in the garden, and he fell off countless times, but there was just that zone state that you're talking about, that there was nothing riding on it, but he was giving it his all. He was in it. He was attentive. He was there. He was present, and he's 3 years old, but and at the end of that afternoon, he could ride his bike.